Today is Tuesday, July 8th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again.
That was supposed to happen.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I'm your co-host for the day, Mike Shalau from Is Was Brewing, and I'm here with your other co-host, and you never would guess, Fade Master, Chris Quinn. Chris, how are you?
Well, I'm doing well. If it makes any difference, all I did was I turned off our ability to hear. I didn't actually change any of the recordings or anything. I just muted ourselves.
That's good. And who wants to hear this podcast?
Yeah, exactly. But I caught it quickly.
Yeah, that's good. That's what we call that, putting out your own fires.
Right, exactly. all someone will hear. To them, it'll sound completely, to the listener, it'll sound completely normal, and then I'll all of a sudden say, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Good thing you said that after you turned it back on.
Right. So I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Zenned out.
We're doing a little bit different of a setup, which has me extremely zenned out.
Super zen.
Yeah.
Aggressively zen.
Well, if you could describe me right now, I'm in the lotus position.
That's right. You're hovering about 18 inches above this very unstable bench, as
only in a loincloth,
as one of our guests pointed out.
Yeah.
In a full lotus loincloth.
Yeah.
You're looking great.
Thanks.
Shirtless.
Feeling good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
What else is new?
What else is new? I'm going to Scratch tomorrow.
Where?
Scratch. You ever heard of it?
I don't
I'll tell you about it some other time.
Sounds cool.
They put dirt and stuff into their beers.
Pre-dirt.
Yeah.
The leaves have fallen. They have yet to decompose.
Right.
Pre-dirt.
There's actually some post-dirt as well that I'm sure makes it into their beer.
Prebiotics and postbiotic dirt.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Just for a little trip.
Yeah, going to go there for like 2 days. It's, the allowances that I have there make it, I realize, a different trip for me, but my trips there are like extra scratchy, as I call it, because you go there and it's a very scratchy place.
No antihistamines for you.
Right. But I can, they don't mind if I just like walk around. So I'll bring a fishing pole and just start pulling fish out of their pond, and they don't care. I don't know if like
for the beer.
I've never asked. I've never offered to give them. They're my fish once they come out.
Sure,
but so they should really be asking me.
That's a good point.
But usually I just catch and release. Although we have made a meal out of the fish we've pulled out of there one time, and then but they're closed, which I didn't realize until someone mentioned it to me just a couple days ago. Like, they're closed when you go down there. I think they used to be open on Wednesdays, but now they're not, or something like that. And I asked if it was okay, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. They even said, if we leave, we'll just let you guys go in there and just keep your own tab. And I was like, that works for me.
Wow, this is your dream.
Yeah, just rip them off.
You're gonna bring your own keg of Headhunter, and then you'll be in heaven.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So no, it should be fun. It should be a lot of good. Should be a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. How about you? What's new?
Not that much.
Haircut.
I got a haircut.
You have an action figure.
I do have an action figure. The 50th anniversary Jaws Richard Dreyfuss action figure Chris sent me from Target this weekend. Which,
yes.
You know what? He was looking good. I might buy one.
You should. And you should say it's you.
It's me, yeah.
Because he is in like chambray, and he's got glasses and a beard and curly hair.
Yep.
If there was a Mike Shalau, if I said, there's this place that makes custom action figures.
Yeah.
I'm getting one made for you.
Uh-huh.
And then I gave you that one, the picture I showed you from the back of the box.
Yeah. The only thing I'd be like, I never wear bucket hats, but otherwise,
No,
this
but
is
you can take
spot
it
on.
off.
Oh, you can take the bucket hat off?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Then, yeah, I'd probably been like, this is pretty good.
That's awesome. Thanks, dude. How'd you get it so realistic?
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you out there, I think I might have mentioned it before, but my oldest daughter is like me, very bad with names, and still I think knows Mike as the guy who looks like that guy from that movie.
Yep.
Again, not great with names. So, but she means Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, Mike.
You know, I appreciate that
The guy
one.
you've met 20 times.
That one, yeah. That one's much cooler than Daniel Stern. I get a lot from the Wet Bandits fame.
Oh. Yes. No, it is way cooler.
Yeah, much
It is
cooler.
way
I'd
cooler.
prefer it to be Dreyfus.
Yes.
Yeah. We got Levan Day coming up this Saturday, which is always a fun time.
You've got your own day.
Well, if you make it up, you can have your own day too.
Hey, there you go.
But yeah, little 12-person party where everyone gets to try Levan and all the variants this year. There's 7 different versions of Levan this year.
That's amazing.
Went a little hard.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
There's blackberry, blueberry, a blend of those two. Buddha's hand, bergamot, a blend of those two, and then the base.
There you are. Got to have the bass.
Gotta have the base.
Feel the bass.
Mm-hmm. That's what really moves you.
Mm-hmm.
It usually is my favorite. I like the bergamot one a lot. This year's blackberry is
Bergamot
really cool.
could be, I don't know how much I've had of that in a beer before.
It's great. It's really cool. Very floral, very unique. And in this beer specifically, it comes across like a lot of like kind of like cardamom, coriander, like to the point of like I get like fruity pebbles kind of like aromas, like Fruit Loopy aromas on this like mixed culture beer with the bergamot in it, along with like a little bit of pine and floral and stuff going on. So it's like a very, very cool. We get the bergamot. They're actually grown in New Jersey. So they're like fresh bergamot. It's not just like juice or frozen zest or something like that. We hand zest them and throw that in there and make a weird little beer.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we should get to our guests.
Absolutely.
We're going to do them in order of how many times they've been on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's order of seniority.
That's right.
The seniority that we care about. And it'll be perfect because our third guest, who is not here yet, should go third anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a pretty clear-cut order, I believe, this time. And Mr. Keith Lemcke, you're the senior member this Tuesday.
By age as well. I'm probably the only one that's an AARP member here, I would imagine.
Mike's had a lot of work done.
Yeah, and I also
remember I was in Jaws.
I think of him more as a goodbye girl, Richard Dreyfuss, than
I'll take
no
that.
more pantyhose on the shower rod, that sort of thing.
I think of him as a Mr. Holland's opus.
I did go to music school, so that's very fitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I look like a 55-year-old. Oh, that's like it spans many ages.
Yeah, but I'm thinking the end of it.
At the very end, when he plays his very underwhelming opus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why I think of it as you.
The underwhelming part.
Yeah, very underwhelming. Leading up to a huge underwhelming. He named the day. He named the opus after himself, right? And he had 7 versions of it, of his opus.
Whoa.
No, I'm kidding, of course. No, Levan is great. Everyone knows that.
My name isn't Levan.
No, but you named it after. Yeah, but he also didn't name his opus after himself.
Can you drink a Levan down by the river? That would seem to, yeah.
Drinking Levan down by the river. That's when your parents are upset with you and how your life choices and whatnot.
Yeah. Keith, what have you been up to, man? It's great seeing you.
Oh, golly gosh. Still spending time in a brewing school down in the South Loop at Siebel Institute of Technology, trying to attract students from around the globe at a time when, for some reason, you can't get student visas coming into the United States. Makes it a bit of a challenge trying to round up those international brewers, trying to come in and get their diploma or master brewer's certificates. So, it's rather challenging times out there. But, that, we just finished our Master Beer Styles course, which was cool in that we had Randy Mosier, who's one of the founders of the course. Ray Daniels is potentially fully retired and flying a gyro copter or gyroplane whenever he can. So he passed the torch on to Jason Pratt, Master Cicerone, and current co-owner of the Cicerone program.
Yes, I saw him. He was getting ready. He was buying some beers in preparation for the course.
Yes,
Came
indeed.
into the Beer Temple.
And that was really cool. I mean, Jason, both of these guys, absolutely brilliant. So that was a completely fun week. And now we get to coast without many students coming through for the next couple of months, which is nice.
Nice. I'm a graduate of that course myself.
Yes.
From Siebel.
Yes.
Many, many years ago.
That's before you opened it, right?
Before. Yeah,
Yes.
I think it was 09, 08, maybe.
Don't make me do math.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Oh, my gosh. Wait, that can't be right.
That could definitely be right. I don't know.
No,
if it is right.
it's not. It's not. It can't be. Ooh, I think it is.
It could be.
I got my Cicerone in 2010, and it was before that.
Wow. Your Cicerone was number like 003.
Basically, Ray gave me a ride home, or back to where I was going, in his Honda CRX.
Nice.
Yeah, his little cool hatchback Honda Civic thing. Yeah.
Keith, I saw an email recently that I think is from that same era, 2009, from my friend Rob Brennan, an exchange you had with him, who now runs Supermoon Brewing, shares some space with us here.
Right.
In 2009, he emailed you kind of searching for some advice about whether or not he should go to Siebel to switch careers from his advertising career.
I'm in this thing called AI. Should I get out of that and do beer?
Yeah, I have a bunch of this like stupid cryptocurrency that
Right.
And you very politely told him that maybe it would be smarter to hone your skills at advertising because you might want to own your brewery someday, and that would be a very useful skill.
That sounds like me, yes.
Yeah, and it was just very funny to look at it and be like, wow, not only does this read like your voice, but you knew exactly what his career path is going to be at that point.
Oddly, had a conversation by email today from someone in India who is a scientist and figures that within the next couple of years, she wants to open a brewery and own a brewery. And then you go, of course, what you need to do is take the most elaborate course about brewing technology that you possibly can if that's your path.
Yeah.
Well, not really. You have to ask people, what are you going to do in the brewery?
Right.
Are you going to be the head brewer? Are you going to be the general manager? Are you going to be in charge of marketing, liaise with your distribution team? And most people don't really understand that who've never actually worked in a brewery, that
Right.
there's a lot of different stuff you can do.
Yeah.
Totally.
And a lot of paths you can take.
I met, and you may, sorry, Mike.
No, go ahead.
I met, and Mike, you may have met him as well, a really fascinating gentleman who was taking, I think it was the full course at Siebel, a gentleman from China who I think was then going to Australia directly afterwards. Do you know who I'm talking about? I don't know how many Chinese students you get.
Well, not that many, and this was within the last 2 months.
Yes.
Okay, yes. And he is a super keen beer enthusiast.
Yes, he is.
Knows an awful lot about brewing already. If you look at the maturity of the North American market, that doesn't necessarily reflect on what's still going on in areas like Argentina, Chile, Brazil, and especially in Asia. That I think there's a lot of room still to grow and a lot of enthusiasm in South Korea and in China. And you guys probably know as well that Japan sounds like it's going really well.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
based on World Beer Cup awards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's exciting.
I had a neighbor email me yesterday, maybe, saying that he was thinking about making a career switch from IT to brewing, and he wanted to shadow our brewmaster. And I was like, well, we don't really do that.
Have him shadow Tim Lang.
I don't think you should be doing this, but if you really want, here's all the reasons why. But if you really want to, you will not be shadowing anyone making beer. You'll be shadowing someone cleaning kegs and washing tanks or something like that, because you're probably many years from the thing you think you're going to be doing if you get a job in a brewery right now.
What was your first job when you just walked up to Pipeworks? What were you tasked with doing?
The first thing was putting bottles into boxes after they got filled and capped, then capping. Mm-hmm. Then I did a little bit of the filling, and I hated that. I did anything to avoid actually filling the bottles, but it was all entirely.
It was always a motley
based.
crew on that filling line.
It was a motley crew, and then it happened very quickly because that was a different time too. Is something I said where like 2014 and the velocity of things happening in 2014, or maybe 2012.
Yeah, by week 3 you were head brewer.
That's true. Yeah. No, I don't.
From capping, do you want to fill? No, I don't really like that. Okay, well then you're the head brewer.
It took like a year before I was touching grain or anything.
Yeah,
that was a brewery that was moving incredibly quickly and growing incredibly fast. So just the reality of being like, I want to shadow the person who's running this place. I was like, I don't think that's what you're going to be doing if you make this career switch. And I was also like, most of my friends that had good jobs in IT that went into brewing the way that you're approaching it ended up back in IT. So
not all of them.
Not all of them. But the tone of the email wasn't like, I'm so passionate about this. Like I'm burning up to want to make beer. It was more like, I don't really like my IT job, and that sounds cool. And I'm like, that's not what you should be doing.
That sounds like an email of a different era.
Totally.
It seems now the people who do that, there are still people who are doing it.
Yeah.
Have a burning passion.
Totally.
Like
maybe this person does.
I have to. Right. Maybe it just doesn't.
It was just an email sent through like our contact us section. So who knows? You're going to spill your heart out on that. But I was like, here's all the reasons you shouldn't do this. And then if you still want to do it, by all means, we'll show you the ropes. But,
right.
But
let's get to our
different time.
Our next guest. It's been a long time. I'm looking forward to catching up. I'm looking forward to catching up with all of our guests, actually. But it's been a while. Mr. Grant Pauly of Three Sheeps. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm well. I'm very well. Thanks for having me. It has been quite a bit.
Yeah, looking good. I think the last time I saw you was just very briefly at the Great Taste, and I forget.
Right.
You had some shenanigans. You had some theme going, and you might have been dressed like a surfer dude or something, a lifeguard. I forget.
We've done lifeguards. We've done golf caddies. We've done
it was lifeguard. I think if you've done lifeguard, I think it was lifeguard. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. How have you been, man?
It's good. Every year, a little different. I think the changes are happening faster and faster, it seems, in this industry than they used to, 5-10 years ago. But we're adapting and we keep growing. So I can't complain too much on the beer side.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And you've got, you've had both your, I think even last time you were on, you've had both of your taproom locations, right? You've got one in Milwaukee and one in Sheboygan. Is that the other?
Right. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Sheboygan's our primary one we've had for a while, and Milwaukee actually just kicked off last June, so it's been just over a year now.
Wow! Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, share it with 2 other breweries, Stork County Brewing and Hacienda, for a safer way to have just a nice tap room in a big city.
Yes, I want to talk about that later too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's worked out really well, and Sheboygan's been really good to us. Somehow we're still the only packaging brewery in the county. I don't think it's a stretch. So it's it's been nice.
Awesome. The sausage, is it the sausage capital of the world? Sheboygan?
Sausage, yeah, it is. Yeah, and also cheese. Sargento, Sartori, Masters. Pretty much, if there's cheese on a pizza that you get from a restaurant, it's coming out of our county. Somehow they do it all here.
Yeah, and what goes better with cheese and sausage than beer? So
get the beer now.
You're right there. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, and Mike, to your point, for interviews and people like that, we've actually switched over to working interviews for the final for everyone.
Yeah.
Because you have all that passion, but stand on concrete for 8 hours on the back of a canning line, and we'll see if you still do. And it has worked out so well for us the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like a stage, like they do in kitchens.
I did that, but I made that guy work for 5 years. Like, you're stuck. You believe in this thing now almost as much as I do. You're never. Ari, love you.
That's smart. That is smart. To have him do that.
One bottling day will change a lot of people's minds. Where it's
it's no longer romantic. Yeah.
Especially seeing working there with people who it's their job.
Right. Right.
Not like, oh, I get past this for a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no. You talk to people. How long have you been on the bottling line?
Right. Don't get me wrong. I'd still love this job. If anyone said like that to me, I'd be like, well, I'm doing it anyway. But I don't know. I just want people. I'd rather have to be like, hey, you shouldn't do this. And be like, I still want to do it. And they're like, okay, you are the right one. Yeah.
It's still so romantic.
Yeah.
When we started at making a widget, a very cool widget. But
Right.
we're 8 or 10 hours of hard work.
Totally.
Yeah, of manufacturing, of very cool manufacturing.
Yeah.
Very heartfelt manufacturing, but it is manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you, Keith, as someone who is educating people who are, serious enough to come to your location, to plop down the money, to make time. A lot of these people are probably, taking time off their job, taking vacation time and stuff like that to do this.
It's full time, right? It's not like a collegiate course, 6 to 8 hours a week. It's 35 hours a week for however many weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are you seeing people kind of coming in with eyes wide open there as well? And what are have you seen changes other than, and maybe the main changes that you're seeing people coming from abroad, but are you seeing a difference in like how people are coming into Siebel, like what their mentality is, what their kind of conceptions of what being in the beer industry is, anything like that? Has it changed?
They are fewer and better informed in the case of those who are wanting to enter craft brewing specifically. So they already know that compensation isn't fantastic and it's a hard job to not only do throughout the day, but to build career longevity in. For those who come from large breweries, I think it's a different focus right now. One thing that is different about the U.S. brewing industry than any other brewing industry is our lack of focus on sustainability. We don't really talk that much about sustainability in our courses, and yet go outside the United States, it's all anyone is talking about.
In beer.
In large brewing. Yes, absolutely. I just was in Budapest, Hungary for the every 2-year European Brewing Congress, and practically every conference that's coming up and has gone on for the last 3 years has dealt with sustainability. And it's not because you have your company trying to save money and figure out more efficient ways to do things. They are bound by the government to use less energy, use less water, produce less effluent, because everybody has now come under the Paris Climate Agreement, which they had to benchmark around 2021, 2022 as to what their current practices were. And now they have to start showing where they've improved. And if you have a nation like Germany, which has a whole lot of breweries and auto manufacturers and elevator manufacturers and all sorts of different industries, they all have to improve. So it's pretty different, the drivers between students from large breweries and those still coming in from craft breweries. But craft breweries definitely are more attuned to what they're about to graduate into.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would... That doesn't surprise me. It's what I would expect and also what I would hope for. It's interesting. Perfect timing. Our third guest, I'll give you a half a moment to. Are you ready?
He's been here the whole time. What are you talking about?
That's what I meant. You just got a new beer.
We haven't introed him yet. Yeah,
that's true.
I'm just a quiet guy.
Yeah. No, we were just getting with the intros. The third member of the panel is Pete Ternes. Is Ternes?
It's Ternes.
Ternes.
Yeah.
See, everybody gets it wrong, including myself. I should know that. It's embarrassing.
You of all people. Come on.
I know. You didn't know either.
We just say each other's last names all day.
Yeah, right. Of Middlebrow. What's up, man? How you been?
Good. Yeah.
Been a while since you've been on the show.
Been a while.
And you were on
a year
with Keith?
Yeah, with Keith. Yeah. Hello,
Funny.
Keith. Good to see you again. Cheers. Yeah. What the hell is Winona though? Where the hell am I? Is this Milwaukee? Zion, Illinois?
This is Canada.
Yeah.
You cool Logan Square people.
Well, thanks for having me though. I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Been a bit.
Yeah.
Been a bit. What's new with you on the Middlebrow front?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Just I guess, yeah. We're focusing on building our winery in Michigan, which is not a brewery, but still paid for by our our decade in big money brewing.
We were just talking about that.
It's been great, but no, we're building that out in Michigan and almost to submitting for building permits and so that's exciting for us. And
Sawyer, right?
yeah, Sawyer, Michigan, Southwest Michigan. Close to where we get a lot of our grapes anyway, and it felt like a good way to spread out. I don't think what happened. We became, I would say, I wish I could say part pizza company. We started as a brewery. We didn't ever intend to be a restaurant or a pizza place. We wanted to make like what I used to say was secretly the best pizza in Chicago, like only the beer community would know about it. You
forgot to keep the secret.
I mean, and I'm not saying it is the best, or that's such a funny subjective thing, and it gets into this crazy hype culture that we're all a part of anyway. But it somehow happened for us with pizza, and we became more of a pizza company than a brewery, and that's hard. It's much different than we
Food and Wine.
Something
just getting written up in Food and Wine like last week.
New York Times.
I think it was.
Yeah, it's been
That's old news.
Wild.
That's like 9 months ago, man.
You should, next time, just be like, hey guys, take us out of that. We're a beer company.
Yeah.
We don't want that, guys.
Please.
Come on.
Yeah.
In fact, we're a winery, so
Yeah. That's right. But anyway, to try to do that again, what's happened in our corner in Logan Square there with us, didn't feel like we had a natural second home. Like we need to expand because we've got 60 employees and 3 owners, and there's no real money in this, as everyone, all of you guys know. And pizza doesn't make it any more lucrative; it probably makes it less so in a lot of ways. And same with wine. In some ways it helps, some ways it hurts, and there's challenges to it. But you got to kind of grow a little bit to give your team a chance to grow and to try to pay for your kids' college one day. And growth in the direction of the West Loop or Andersonville didn't feel natural to us, but Michigan did. So we're giving it a shot, and figured if it wasn't hard enough as is, we can just throw an hour and 20-minute commute.
I was just gonna say the good thing is if you got to shoot between the two locations,
it's just an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah.
On Friday, 2 hours. 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No big, just schedule lots of phone calls.
Right. Yeah, you can manage it remotely.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
restaurants are easy.
Yes, exactly. Well, thanks for coming. Sorry about the mishap.
No,
yeah,
my fault.
I think that honestly segues nicely into something that wasn't the first thing on the rundown, but probably should be, is what do breweries look like these days, and what do successful, beer-focused or artisanal thing-focused beverage companies look like?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, just as we had this group of guests on, one with Keith talking to people about starting breweries and having new people coming in with their business plans in varying degrees of formation. And Grant, as you just mentioned, you opened your new tap room just over a year ago, which is probably different than you would have done it 5 years ago, And Pete, you're, for lack of a better word, diversified. You're doing beer and wine and food and stuff like that. And it just got me thinking, is this just what breweries in a lot of ways are now? They're finding just different ways that make sense to them to kind of just be.
Yeah, operate, exist.
Yeah,
stay in business.
But I don't see it as necessarily. I think there's a difference between this is what we have to do,
totally, or
we felt this was a really cool way to make this a viable thing that we want to do. So I just thought it was kind of an interesting crew to kind of talk about, is that what being a craft brewer is nowadays.
For sure.
And like Grant, if you wouldn't mind kicking it off, I mean, what was the thought process when you opened your Milwaukee location? If you thought about it at all, or if it wasn't even that deep, it just kind of came up and that's how you wanted to do it.
No, combination. The thought of a second location, especially with us being in Sheboygan, a little outside to our biggest markets of Milwaukee and Madison, it was always intriguing, but it's a big endeavor to have a second tap room. And, personally for me, I've always been very passionate about making the beer and production side and the distribution. Like that's just, I think, how my mind works, what I really enjoy. And I love our Sheboygan tap room, but adding a second one always just seemed like a lot of work. So it kind of had to be the right situation for us and make sense. And this unique situation presented really well because it was already an established tap room that was looking to kind of help bolster things a little bit. So it was Hacienda Brewing Company, and they asked us if we wanted to join them in their building within Door County Brewing Company. So it's 3 breweries in one space. They operate the space, so it's their bartenders who I've known for a long time because we've been good friends with these breweries for many, many years. I know the owners, the management, and I don't know if I could have or would have done it with anyone else, but it made sense. So we helped kind of rebrand things in there and make it a space where you can get all 3 breweries' beers in just a nice environment where now the 3 of us kind of get to share the risk that is a secondary tap room and a tap room in a downtown market and all the rest. And the thing that really sealed it for us was, Milwaukee has been so good to us since we opened up 13 years ago. And now we have a hub to base all of our support back for them too. So, all of our nonprofit work comes out of that tap room. We mirrored everything we did in Sheboygan down there. So there's a different charity every month that we try to highlight and focus on and feature and promote, many pop-up fundraisers, all that sort of thing. That was a big part of what I really wanted that space to be, as a way to just be a part of that Milwaukee community. So it worked out really well and kind of allowed us to do it without also taking away too much focus from distribution. That is still where we see a lot of our growth in Wisconsin, and we continue to grow there every year. So that's
great.
Yeah, that's still our focus.
Now, that's awesome. With the Milwaukee location, do you find that it's difficult or that you have to really be conscious about it still having a Three Sheeps feel to it, or it being a Three Sheeps focused, or maybe that isn't important and it's okay if it's like this is a kind of a shared space where we get a really big spotlight on us?
I would say more towards the latter, but the stuff that's very important to us is making sure that everyone can speak to what we do. If people want to know what's in our IPAs, the bartenders should know that. If people want to get technical, we want them to have that. We want them to know what's going on at our brewery in Sheboygan, and we really do treat it as just an extension of our personal team. So, but yeah, it is just kind of more about also just a really cool, unique space where you get 3 breweries making 3. It's very different styles of beer there with awesome food as well. Their chef is phenomenal. That it's just it's a nice destination for people.
Mm-hmm. And with you, Pete, I mean, were these decisions that you made? I mean, you already said that, like with pizza, you just kind of like, in that case, you just got to go with it, right? Yeah. I mean, if that's, but for like with the winery, was that like a passion move that you just like felt like you had to do? Like, I'm really feeling this, and this is a direction I'm going to go in, or was it? How much was there like, well, let's diversify kind of our offerings and kind of have beer still be a focus, but also kind of spread our wings a little bit, if at all?
I think pizza was probably more of a business decision than wine was. Wine was more passion. It was a way for us to pursue this style of fermentation and beverage production, artisanal beverage production, that we didn't feel like we ever got the chance to as nomadic brewers, and our space in Logan Square didn't really present the right opportunity to do it either, which was a little bit more agrarian. I mean, surprise, surprise, we're building a brewery on a corner in the city, and it's not agrarian, of course.
Right.
Well,
and a lot of people don't realize that too. Like when you say like you have a winery in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, they're shocked, and of course you don't.
And they don't probably don't
Yeah.
think you're being that particular with your choice of words when actually you are being particular with your choice of words.
Yeah. Like a vineyard and a winery are distinct things, and most people, or a lot of people, don't sort of internalize that the vineyard is separate from the winery, and growing grapes is separate from making wine. So we have a wine production facility or a winery in our brewery. It's just the same tanks. We empty the tanks, empty the beer from all the tanks every August, September, and make wine for 6 months. And it's a weird dance and balance between the two. And we sell about 50-50 wine to beer there now. But yeah, I think the decision was, for pizza, it was like, how do we keep asses in seats? And how do we get people to buy that second beer that ends up making you money? And pizza was going to be the answer. And it was pizza, not tacos or hot dogs or fine dining or, whatever.
Yeah,
cuisine.
why was it pizza?
Just because we were equally, honestly, that's where the passion comes in. I think we were as geeky about, I was maybe more of a pizza tourist than I was a beer tourist at the time, or just as much of one. So we were pizza geeks like we were beer geeks when we started the brewery, nearly 7, 8 years prior. And it just worked. It just so happened that people liked the pizza that we decided to make. But
you guys also, like Chris said, you just have to ride or go with it or whatever. But you guys also like leaned into it. It wasn't like you just like, well, we have to make pizza now.
No,
like a lot of energy of like brewers that were like, well, we have to make a hazy.
Yeah.
You guys made and focused on making incredibly good pizza, and then you expanded that too, right? You did the thin crust.
Right.
You're doing I'm not sure what you guys call it, but the thicker like squares at Chris's place. So it wasn't like you were just like, I guess we have to make pizza. You like really were like, if we're doing this, we're going to do it really well. Like,
yeah, there was never anything begrudging. We didn't want to run. We didn't know that we wouldn't want to run a restaurant one day.
Yeah.
And I don't. I have a ball doing it, but it is definitely not what I signed up for 14 years ago when we started this, and even 6 or 7 years ago when we were about to open. I did not think my life would be like this like the way it is in restaurant. Restaurant life's a little bit different than like brewery production life. You got this like, 6 a.m. to midnight schedule kind of, and you don't, every small business owner is always on, but there's a thing about having to be like in the building, running around in chaos, in kind of crisis mode all day, every day, and that's, I'm in a much better place now than ever before. But it definitely, it definitely was like that for a while. And so, but that said, you're right. We leaned into it because we loved it, and we saw that. I think this is where I was going to go in answering your question. Of course, it took a long time getting there, but I think with the maturation of the brewing industry, people started thinking about, breweries had to think about, what were they selling, who was their market, who were their customers, what problems were they solving. Like any mature industry or any mature company, if you're going to last beyond some hype cycle, you got to really pay attention to your customers and what they want. And we were never a hype brewery. We've been around probably as long as Off Color, Beguile, and for a long time. Shortly, a little after Pipeworks, and
I still think people don't realize that.
Yeah. It was very. It was 2011 when we started. Our first beer was like 2013, and so 2011 when we started, it was I guess what I mean is like we started being active in the community and like working on the getting a damn beer brewed. And as nomadic brewers back then, it took forever, right?
Yeah.
But by 2013, we finally had a beer brewed, and I guess we were beloved by a small handful of people, of beer aficionados in Chicago, and I mean, like, we had committed fans for sure, but there was a small number of them. And I think our market was never like the IPA guys or IPA people. It was never like deep lager people. It was people who were maybe into saisons, but also into our mission, our like community-driven mission, and how we presented ourselves, and the events we did, and the work we did in the community, and the beers. They liked the beers, and they were a little bit wild and a little all over the place, and experimental and yeast-driven, and et cetera. And those people, I think, that was our market, and we had to recognize that those people also were interested in things like sourdough bread and in people behaving like they wish they were living on a farm in the middle of the city, and they like all these things, right? And so did we. And we also liked experimenting with making wine, for example. And that, and we think they did too. And I think I think that we pursued things that we were passionate about, and it lined up with what our market seemed to be passionate about. And I think in doing so, we retained soul and matured as a brewery and more broadly as a company. And we were able to kind of weather the hype cycle of craft beer for the last, last decade. And now our future looks a little bit more diverse. It wasn't ever like this intentional. How do we diversify? Because what's coming is a giant, popped bubble,
Yeah.
So,
and it's interesting, existing kind of on the periphery of all that hype was, I'm sure, had some downsides to it. You weren't like,
definitely.
Right, because you weren't like, okay, we're also going to put out XYZ style and these people are just going to come to us. You were almost off on a tangent, and
yeah,
but it maybe creates a more stable, maybe slower and more prone to collapse. But if it doesn't collapse, it's a little bit more
I think
stable.
less prone to collapse.
That's what I'm saying.
Less prone to implosion.
If it doesn't, right?
You never that type of thing doesn't implode on it like some hype breweries can, because the people disappear because they don't want to drink Mega Man stuff, whatever anymore.
Yeah. I guess I meant more prone to collapse during the bubble phase. But then if it doesn't, it's been weather tested and it can stand up under its own power now, and it doesn't need these hype cycles to use your phrase. It's interesting.
I think the bigger lesson is almost to kind of parrot what you're saying is if you're pursuing something that feels unique to you and is distinct from what other people are offering in the market, you're trying to solve a unique problem or explore whether a unique problem exists, and you might be the one with a solution to it. Then the graphs, the hype graphs, and these crowds of people moving around from all my friendly breweries, Hot Butcher and Pipeworks at one point, and these are all our buds, but you don't get the big upside from that, but you don't also have to figure out how to maintain it. You're just slowly kind of get to know your community and what they want, and you can slowly decide whether you're positioned well enough to give it to them. And that was good.
It also seems not to put words in, well, I guess we've done a similar thing of being small and trying to find the people that believe in the thing we believe in. It seems like it's much easier to have a genuine discourse with the people that are consuming your product and get an idea of what they actually want too.
Sure.
And if it does align with what you want, rather than just be like, well, they're drinking this, so we keep making it, when I don't know, I've described it as I want to be able to get my arms around it. Certainly things grow in a way where sometimes you can't, but there's certain touch points or people that you're those people are I still know them personally, or they still come in all the time, and
for sure.
Whether or not we're aiming things directly at them, they're a good barometer for they're a genuine human barometer for are we on the right path, rather than, and of course you need the numbers to tell you if you're on the right path too, but it's good when you do it that way and you deeply know some of the people or a lot of the people that are into the thing you're doing, and when you do it over a long period of time relatively slowly, you also have an opportunity to be we're just going to stand over here and we're going to wait until see who shows up. And you do it the way
That's exactly right.
Right.
Exactly
I know there are people over there, but if
yeah.
we're here and we're saying something that we believe to be true, and we're just going to see who shows up and how long it takes them to show up. And for us, that legitimately changed the shape of what I thought this business was going to be. When I left Pipeworks, I was we'll be making 5,000 barrels in for the next in about 4 years from now.
Yeah.
And I'm that's not that much beer. And now I'm if we make 1,200 barrls 5 years from now, which is
you'll be like the guy
6
from
years
Monopoly.
after that.
Yeah.
I'd be I'm not
Uncle
the
Money
happiest
Bucks.
boy. I'll be the richest boy in the world. And standing over there and standing in the on aside from all that stuff happening, and saying who you are genuinely, without understanding that you need people to buy your stuff, but with a little less pressure on that, or a little less of that being the only focus. How do we get attention from those people? It's you just speak at a volume that you want to speak at, and then the people that can hear you will eventually come over to it. And then when you have a groundswell of it, you can expand it or turn it, or be like, these people love us so much that like they're gonna try the pizza.
Sure.
And those are the people that are gonna tell 10 other people that like, have you had this stuff? Like,
Yeah.
you know, the person that comes over because they saw your Untapped scores and is only gonna tell the people on Untapped, and they already know.
Totally.
So
Yeah. I know.
Keith, what like if you could elaborate a little bit more? You said there's fewer people, but they're kind of coming in more educated into what they're getting themselves into. Do you hear people who either want to be brewers or want to be brewery owners or brewer/brewery owners, which is kind of what I think all three of the folks here are. Are you seeing like, do they have a concept like that is stylistically driven, or that is driven by a niche in the market that they think they can fill, or does it even get that granular when you're talking to them?
Of the ones that I've seen lately, for the people themselves coming in, it seems to be about their lifestyles. They anticipate what operating a brewery, a front of house brewery, will be like. They know the model, and they, in many cases, in 2 cases especially, where we've had students coming in going through the diploma or master program, and both of them had their fathers come in to take a follow-up course at a lower level, because dad goes, my son's going to be head brewer or is already involved in brewing. We're looking at opening up a brewery a couple of years from now. I want to be involved, arm's length. This is going to be a family project. And if you look at that model, that's very much the sort of West Coast winery model. And that was followed, you know, by a lot of people who make a lot of money, and then they go, by the time I hit 50 and I can retire, I'm going to buy land and I'm going to start my own winery. I think it's a similar sort of idea. And I hope that people take into account what people like the Brewers Association and a lot of the guilds have been saying, and that is, stop thinking that you're going to find distro for your products anywhere outside of your immediate area if you can even get that. Think direct distro. Think about being, and it's just this weird thing. In Germany, many, many years ago, somebody said that we drink the beer from the brewery whose smokestack we can see. And that's a very traditional idea. I mean, in Germany, the breweries don't really have smokestacks anymore, but it just means we support our local brewery. And I kind of get the feeling that we're moving a lot towards that the idea that we shouldn't necessarily call ourselves craft breweries or nano breweries. We make craft beer, but what we are is neighborhood breweries. Mm-hmm. This is a neighborhood brewery. And you can come up to, this is Andersonville, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so you can come up and discover Andersonville. You can go to Cultivate. You can come here. You can walk to Dovetail and just let's go to Andersonville for the day. Mm-hmm. You occupy a space based on neighborhood and the importance of games in being a center where people come in and create an event themselves at being at your location, I think is a really cool idea. Mm-hmm. And you can see that people are bringing in outside food here.
Yep.
Been dragging my brother in from Vancouver around Chicago over the last 4 days.
Is that what that accent is? I thought you were deep south.
Yeah, that's exactly the case.
Mississippi, I thought.
Hey, sorry. And like practically every place we're going to, people are either picking up games off of shelves full of games, or they're bringing their own card games in. And are you a member, Chris, of the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild?
No.
Somebody posted about 2 months ago, a new member, hi, we are a games manufacturer and distributor. We want to give bars games for free because we need feedback as to how people like these. So it's a pretty interesting
We do
idea.
have games show up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that nobody knows how they got there. And they look like they're fully formed, but they're not fully packaged yet, if
Sure.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Do you get that, Mike, or you don't have games
the
here?
games that are here, 90% of them just showed up, and people brought them to play and then left them because they're like, that's just like what people think a brewery like this is. You come and you play board games, and then it's sad they don't have any. We should let other people play these. Is kind of what ours started. Like I was like kind of against it, but I'm like when we started. But then the whole point of this place is for people to enjoy themselves and feel like it's also theirs. So I'm not gonna be like no. It's not my artistic vision for you to play
Battleship,
Pachinko, or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
you need to play Stratego,
right? And just like
I
what
think
you're saying,
making the right call.
This is a neighborhood spot that we want people from the neighborhood to come in and feel comfortable, whether or not they know what a saison is. Hopefully, at some point, they want to ask and they want to try them, and that's what we do really well. But
I'm sorry.
No, but
I would think. Oh, sorry.
I mean, we're that like maybe plus. Like I would say, Middlebrow is that plus, where you get a lot of other people coming for other reasons. But we're a neighborhood bar that has like one plus of making something very specific that people feel deeply about or feel strongly about, so they seek it out. Mm-hmm. But this year, right? This is a neighborhood brewery.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think Wisconsin would be as singular a market in the U.S. as maybe any. So I could see it going. Grant, I could see you saying 100%. I agree with everything you guys are saying, and that is totally true here. I would also believe you. There's other people who, if they said it, I kind of wouldn't believe them. But you, I would. I'd be like, you know what? In Wisconsin, maybe it's just completely different from that. Because I think you guys are just, and your especially your relationship to beer is just so different than it is in like, I think anywhere else I've been in the country, is I'm with you. I think the brewing history in Wisconsin, just with Miller alone, and New Glarus, and you had all the old ones too before that you knew someone who worked or knew someone who knew someone who worked at a brewery, and everything was set up that way too. It was just the breweries were the big players, the distributors were the small ones. All our laws are still based on that, where they're protection for distributors because they were the tiny guys. And that's really shifted now, but that mentality has never really changed. And I grew up in the town that was best known for having the most bars per capita of any city in the country. And I think that helps breweries in a lot of ways, because if you're that corner, like you were saying, if you're that corner brewery, you can be a neighborhood bar. And if you can make that model work, we could sustain one on every corner. And you also you're the only state that I know of that has a strong bar guild.
Right. Yes. They've been very, very powerful. They mobilize the membership. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That is not normal.
Stories about
that.
That
is what it's called, the Tavern League.
Tavern League. Correct.
It's a very different place.
Out there, and they are aggressive, and they spend a lot of money at our legislature level to make sure that their members are protected and preserved. Make sure liquor licenses don't go away. Make sure that they all have every right that they want, getting money for safe rides at home. It's a big thing in Wisconsin where bars can just offer free rides to anyone they want to get home safely. It's that kind of protect that bar culture.
Can they give them rides there?
No, I think it's just a home trip.
It'd be interesting though if you could. We'll pay for you to come here.
That's a big. We got a hotel for you. There's a bar in the lobby.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it is a combo though, because I think the distro model can still work here well, and we're firm believers and hopers in that it's going to work, because that is our bread and butter.
Yeah, you guys do quite a bit of distribution, right?
We do. Yeah, we'll do about 15,000 barrels this year just for Wisconsin, with most of that being a little over half of that just being off premise from that side. So it's and I'd say 95% of our beer is distro. So yeah, that is we
and growing.
Correct, and growing. Yeah, we're 10% last year. We're about the same this year is what we're looking at, and we make beer for Wisconsin. Our tagline is what Wisconsin drinks, because again, it's not the huge, crazy Imperial Hazies that are what keep people going. Our number one seller is our hazy, but it's a $9 6-pack hazy that's done really well, but that we can price appropriately, because if you want to make drinkable beer, it's got to be priced drinkably. And I think once we kind of got that mindset focus of we want to take care of Wisconsin and be there for every occasion for Wisconsin, it shifted a lot of our styles. And what I really realized was important to me and what we want to have in our lineup. Cream ale we launched last year. If you would have told me when I started brewery that 12 years in, we were going to have a cream ale as one of our core beers, and that a year later it'd be our number one distro 6-pack after a year of it being in market, I would have said you're crazy. But that's what Wisconsin is. They want, and that's what they really crave, and we want to be there for them for that. So
no cream ales up there.
Wow, yeah, right.
Completely devoid of cream ale in the whole state, I think.
So great. How much? I mean, speaking of that, how much do you think New Glarus has kind of set the craft beer culture in Wisconsin? Because, like you said, you had a hazy that was a $9 6-pack. I remember probably maybe even like close to 10 years ago, you were talking about how back then you felt it was almost like, like your hand was tied behind your back, because if you had to compete in Wisconsin, that, you had to, go up against these preconceived notions that New Glarus has set, which they in turn had to fight against, Miller and PBR and all the big guys. They had to fight against them. But now it's kind of like a trickle down where you were having to go against it. And it sounds like now you've I don't know, well, how do you feel about it now?
Yeah, I mean, we are still tiny compared to New Glarus. They're just a behemoth, and I think what they've done for craft in Wisconsin was incredible. Oh, even just during COVID, we were still producing 70% of our package in bottles because that's what Wisconsin wanted to drink. New Glarus finally launched cans of Spotted Cow, and all of a sudden Wisconsin realized you could drink cans. And in about 3 months, our package switched from 70% bottles to 70% cans.
Just because New Glarus.
That mentality just completely changed where people thought was okay to drink craft in. And I mean, that Spotted Cow is its own animal. I mean, there's more Spotted Cow handles than Bud Light handles in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So you have this beer that acts macro, but they have so many good brands in their lineup, and it's just run by good people who are doing it. That they're a really unique company that makes in some ways easier for other craft breweries, and also harder because they have the benefit of scale. So they still are very price competitive because they want to still do the same things that they need to do when you get that large. So I would say craft is probably a little bit cheaper here because of them. Our same package out in Illinois would be more, but I chose to live here and have a brewery here, so we'll make it work.
No, I mean, it's very interesting because in other places, the big local player isn't, or even the big player, let's just say, isn't craft. So you don't have to be as price sensitive to them.
Right.
Where someone could be like, well, Moon Man's only $9. Is your pale ale better than Moon Man? Where it's like, it's like, well, Bud Light's only $8, and you could be like, yeah, well, this is a pale ale.
Right.
Or this is a cream ale or something
that's an
like
apple
that.
and this is an orange.
Right. Or they're like, you don't think they make it? No, I mean, their apples are known to be some of the best in the world, but
this is a Honeycrisp apple.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a cosmic crisp.
Just very different.
You can go to a bar and hear people say, hey, a group of guys will take around a Spotted Cow. Oh, sorry, we don't have that, or we're out. Okay, we'll take Miller Lite. It's that kind of that mentality of what that beer is. It's their dads drank it. They're coming to Wisconsin. They're supposed to try Spotted Cow. Like it's such a iconic beer now. I hated it when I first started distributing it in Illinois because that was the number one question I'd get. Oh, you're from Wisconsin. Why isn't Spotted Cow down here? I don't know, sir.
Right.
But if we could talk about my brewery for a few minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Right.
It's just what they've done, and they're brilliant for it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Can we take a quick refresh? And did you say? No. Go.
Well, I was going to say there's something kind of funny here where, just you're talking the last point you made where people say, well, is your apple really better than their apple? And it gets to this interesting point, Keith. There's a wrinkle here that's I'm not really sure what to think of, which is Keith's point about things transitioning into, the industry transitioning into a place where it's putting more weight on neighborhood breweries. And neighborhood breweries are naturally smaller. And when you're operating a smaller scale, things cost more money, principally labor. And the question is, will Zoomers or will millennials and boomers who continue to buy beer and act in this market, really appreciate the what it means to be a neighborhood beer or artisanal beer, that they have to pay more for, that it costs rather more to make beer at a very small scale, even a beer that's worse than the cheaper beer. If you want to support your neighborhood, if you want to support the people who live in it, if you want to buy a beer from someone who's paying the wage of someone who's working for them, and that person also wants to live in the neighborhood, will people ever care about that again? Because it seems like for a minute they maybe did. And craft beer...
What minute do you think they did?
Like for 6 minutes in 2015 or 16.
Okay.
And really, like, just for, like, because craft beer, I think...
They did it in COVID a little bit, too. I was just curious when you were
No.
picking.
COVID,
Yeah.
I'm with you. They did it in COVID, but it wasn't their money, So it's a little bit easier to do that.
Okay, yeah.
So, but craft beer seemed to kind of... it impacted food. It impacted just... I think craft beer, like, led on, like, large scale... Or I should say, it led on artisanal production of everything. In the whole effing economy, it was a leader. If not the first mover, it was like an early mover, and it was the one that got the biggest. And I think people could appreciate paying more for a minute for something made artisanally and locally, even if it wasn't as good as the thing that was cheaper. But I think that's kind of gone, and that juxtaposed to the point you're making, Keith, about neighborhood breweries. I think both things are somehow true, but I'm not sure what allows both of them to be true. So a little bit of inconsistency.
I would say you were on the money when it comes down to craft brewing being a leader for probably a way bigger picture. In the 1970s, there were less than 100 breweries in the United States, all making the same basic type of beer. By the time the 1980s came around and small brewing came around, we introduced the idea of differentiated and experiential products to something that was, in essence, a mature market, or something we thought was a mature market. How can you start a small brewery and ever think you're going to compete with the largest breweries? Well, we showed that you could. And record companies owned the airwaves, and then college radio came out, and then streaming came out, and then ethnic food and restaurants started being more plentiful. And just now, look at it. Look at everything, 40, 50 years later. It's all about experience.
I want to find like a locally made sunscreen.
You can totally make your own.
Yeah, you can make your own.
Not sure it's going to work.
Yeah, sure.
But I've been listening to my second favorite podcast rather habitually, and that is Beer Net Radio.
After this one?
And correct.
Nice.
And if you listen to Beer Net Radio, I've been listening to it for about a year, and the shit that you will learn about why people buy things and how effective branding, marketing, and carry through of your products by the distribution sector into retail based on consumer demand. Some of the stuff they say on this, as they interview people from every section of beverage, alcoholic, non, they cover Delta 9 like you can't believe. If you're listening to this in your car, you're going to have to pull over sometimes and just go, Jesus, I never knew that. And it happens with practically every show. And one time they talk about how 10 years ago, you'd go through someplace like Binny's and you'd fill up a $100 grocery cart with basically only 5 or 6 items, including different 6-packs, different mix packs. And now it's like that $100 has you have 25 or 30 different individual items instead. So people are just wanting to find different experience, not to repeat the same thing. And especially the idea that convenience stores have become the biggest growth area over the last 5 or 6 years for brand and category growth, as people go in and buy 19.2 ounce cans because they're going to an event. So for young people especially, it's about event drinking, not about having stuff to drink at home. They are going out to drink. Not as much, and they're paying more.
Yeah, but also that makes it look like, that's a mature market in some sense. Or it's maybe not a mature market, but it's a market that's restricted. It has requirements to entry. you have to be able to get into every 7-Eleven, even if you're going to be, I'm local, quote unquote. You want to get into every 7-Eleven in Chicago. You're already huge, and you already have a huge distribution network and a huge distribution partner just in order to get into this big growth market. So it's like kind of like, I don't know, it's not even the rich get richer, because those guys aren't doing great necessarily, but I almost see it as like, it's like the deep sea. There's like stratuses of what's going on, and what's happening at the top has no indication of what's going on at the bottom of the ocean floor. And that's kind of how I see that. Yeah. That one in particular. Mm-hmm. Not to say that's not a huge avenue for growth.
I don't know.
It's just, is that relevant for you?
No.
I mean, you're right. You're not, I mean, your closest out.
When I go in and leave a bottle
7-Eleven.
in there, they get mad at me, but we're in there.
Yeah, right, exactly.
No, I don't think it would make any sense for a place like us to sell beer there, and we wouldn't have the access points. Like, we don't make enough beer. We don't have a distributor. Like, we have a gravity-fed bottling line and a hand-operated.
You should do tank beer there. You're so close. Just have a tank beer line.
We should get like one of those German things. They get the city to run it underground to
hard pipe it
to hop leaf or something.
Yeah, hard pipe it to 7-Eleven.
Yeah, but no, I mean, that's just like access that we're never going to have to anything, and it's something that I think at some point in craft beer's life, it seemed like that was going to be an access to independent breweries or possible for independent breweries, and it just ended up not being the case.
I also think there's a little bit of a pushback on maybe some of this local, the money is staying local, and maybe because of that, I'd be willing to have it be, maybe the word is it could be better somewhere else, or maybe it's like, oh, it's not as uniform, or it's not as, the same, whatever. It's somehow different, and I that to me seems like it also might be maturing, and people don't seem to care as much anymore.
That's over.
And it's also been, frankly, overdone. I think some people took advantage of it and be like, because I made it and I'm giving you a piece of shit and charging you $20, that means it's worth the $20.
Do you think that's a generational thing, that millennials really care about that, and then the next generation just is like, whatever, I'm just going to get it on Amazon?
It could simply be the pendulum effect, where you're like, I don't want to be my parents. I don't want to be that lame ass generation above me.
Right.
And like, they cared so much about local and the bucolic, this like sense of, I don't know, everything was fucking precious. And Zoomers are like, give me dirty jeans and a NASCAR hat and cheap, lemonade beer, and there's a serious element of that happening in that Zoomer generation. It's not just like the hip kids who work for me. It's like, and their friends. It's way broader based, and that's definitely coming, and it's here. They're a really serious part of the economy, but I do at the same time somehow think that it's as inconsistent as that is with some of what Keith was saying. I think what Keith is saying is true, that people are not really looking for some brewery. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's they don't need a brewery from Atlanta. They never will. They need Modelo and Was, and that's what they need.
Yeah, I wonder if like some of that culture exists because of how online those kids are, and then some part of your life you don't live on the internet, right? Like the fashion trends or the idea to wear these like grubby things like proliferate so quickly, and their values are because they have access to anything they've ever wanted to watch, listen to, see, hear, put in their consciousness. They had it on demand, except not everything's like that. Like actual fungible things, like fungible tokens, like we make, things that can't be, that are physical, that have to be in your hand to be consumed. There's limits to that, and I wonder if like there's something to that where like, yes, a Modelo is as close to a non-fungible like thing where you can get it everywhere, it's going to taste the same everywhere. But that could be all they're drinking, but that's such a small segment of what they're doing.
I think they are pursuing. They're looking for price, familiarity, and they don't want to seem precious. They don't want to seem like they care too much. It's lame to care too much, but they can maybe still care sometimes, and it still is almost easier to go, and maybe that's what it is that Modelo's easy when they're partying, when they're going to their buddy's house and watching a game, but is easier, or Middlebrow is easier when their parents are in town and they want to take their parents somewhere, and their family or their brothers and cousins in town, or their friend from somewhere else, and they want something that kind of shows off a little bit of what their life is like in their head, or on their Instagram feed.
Sure.
And like here's who I am. So there's an identity component here to your local, your kind of local brewery.
And some of that like detachment irony thing is just age as much as it is generational, right?
Sure.
Like, I mean, millennials were ironic, Gen X were ironic people, and then as you age, you get a little bit more earnest. I think millennials were probably the more earnest of like any of those cohorts from the beginning, but not saying that like just wait 10 years, but like that, eventually that runs out, and so you do like you're like, hey, this place, but then we're the old guy, the old place, right? Like you guys have been around since like 1999, and so they're like, but I don't know.
That Modelo and was concept is very interesting. I'm just trying to think of it from my own children who are a little too young.
Let's hope,
but they're getting there. They're 12 and 10, not from obviously, but for beer, but like they want to, like my daughter wants to wear the exact stuff that all the other kids are wearing. Doesn't really care for the fashion itself. She just wants to fit in. She's of that age.
That's never changed though.
Yeah. But they and both my kids do not care about, I don't know, like any, like, I guess they think Target is cool. So that would be like the Modelo.
Because
but they don't care about like anything else. They've like, I guess they've heard that like, I don't know, some other like big chains and stuff like that. But
they're 12.
Right. But other than that, but then it's like immediately in their city, they know of other places, but it's like their immediate local places are kind of like just what they're centered around, and I guess maybe that just is how it continues as you grow up. Maybe I don't know where I'm going with that, but maybe as you mature, it's the same. It's just like your exact local area, and then the big stuff, and I don't know what that does for regional.
Well, it could just simply mean that this minute for when the internet peaked, when social media peaked, or the early peak for social media, I should say, like it intersected with millennials coming of age, and millennials were so effing precious, and I'm one, so I'm not, throwing stones, but Same. Like, and I'm so effing precious, right? But I think the maybe the point here is that was an aberration, maybe, and the truth is everyone behaves this Modelo and was way pretty much their whole lives. They like some things in their neighborhood, and they like they want the cheap, easy stuff too. But millennials, for a minute, it was like every Warby Parker was giving money to these are glasses that we're wearing,
right.
Tom's shoes, and Tom's every
shoes.
Single purchase for a minute made like was so important. Like what you bought was so important to who you are, and that didn't really exist very much before that for a long time, and it doesn't seem to be a major part of the Zoomers' identity, as major of a part as it was for the millennials. I
mean, didn't we also just kind of see that a lot of that stuff was bullshit? Like they were doing a lot of that, but it was also there were terrible things happening. There were terrible effects on the on the environment to produce Warby Parker glasses and Tom's shoes and stuff. And like,
millennials are victim. Like we love the victim's narrative, and like even if we're not the victim, we love to find out who it is and pretend like we are the ones standing up for them too, right? Like it's all kind of part of the same thing. What are we buying and what are we saying and what do we know and how do we show everyone that? And I don't know, Zoomers just don't seem to give it.
Well, it's also maybe it's also you only have so much headspace, and my consumption isn't that important to me except for these areas. And Modelo is the area is for everything else I don't care about.
Yeah.
And the is for the little part that I do, because what I care about and what matters to me and what I'm focused on and want to give my attention to is something different that is not, every little thing I purchase. It's something else. I sure as hell don't know.
They're still young too.
Last thing, it's probably just that for a minute we, because of the 90s, leftover pocket change was just way effing higher
Right.
for
Yeah.
a long time into the 2000s. And before that, there wasn't that. You didn't have that expendable cash, and Zoomers don't have the expendable cash, so you can't just go around buying fucking craft beer every night.
Well, and on
you
the
know?
supply side, money was incredibly cheap.
Yeah, for a
So,
long time. Right.
those two things coming together probably created
Everything was
some market
artisanal.
forces that were
Yeah, exactly. And then all you had to buy was artisanal.
Can we now
Yeah.
take a quick break and then we'll no.
Yeah.
I'm glad we held off and then come back and maybe get one more topic and and then see where we are. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Beer Temple podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Shalau, here with your other co-host, Chris Quinn, and our esteemed guests, Keith Lemcke, Grant Pauly, and Pete Ternes. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how millennials are very twee and love their precious things. Just kidding, Grant. You were saying something during the break that was we want to talk about.
No, just I think from my different perspective, but mainly being the distro side. One thing I used to bang my head against the wall about, and still do to some degree, especially like during 2015, 2016. I agree. I get twin kind of heyday of really expensive beer out there, really expensive kegs. And we would just see these bars and restaurants bringing in the local brewery for a keg that cost twice as much. And I had an experience at Fountainhead, one of my favorite spots where we often had some beer. And I asked him, well, let me try it. He's like, oh, you don't want to try it. It's terrible. Like, well, why'd you bring it in? He's like, well, local, we just want to support them and hopefully they'll get better. And, that day and age of trying to support your local market, I think, is over. Like, you don't get many shots anymore, I think. Like, it's got to be good coming out the gate and at a reasonable price, because I don't think the customer is as romantically inclined to just say, let's go for it. Or, even just knowing what hops are in beer, all that stuff that I think we all used to get more geeky about. They just know people overall want like a really good beer. And if there's a cool story to it, great. But it's kind of a secondary function than the primary. So, for me, maybe it is just when it's, it's not just like your tap room and you're really curating these things. You can tell a story and it works, but at least in Wisconsin, we're really not seeing that model play on distro, which I think to your point of, why like a Modelo could work really well. But I think there's room for craft there as well, as long as it's kind of doing a similar thing. And I just don't think people care as much about what's going into the beer as much as having a great beer experience. It's like that side of whatever else they're doing. Maybe it's not just a millennial thing for me. It's more just our industry is maturing. We're like 30 years behind wine, 40 years behind wine on that front. We're not chasing things. Yeah.
I mean, I think in that case, like Modelo could be Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. It could be Russian River Pliny the Elder. It could just be like, my IPA is this. This is my IPA. Russian River's my favorite. And that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
I think there's also something, and maybe this doesn't speak to the Gen Z liking the aesthetic of drinking Modelo thing, but like people just seem to have less time. So like there's grocery store beer and then there's like precious beer, like if we're going to use that word, where like people don't go to as many shops as like they used to. I think you can probably speak to that, Chris, where like you don't see people coming in and just buying random stuff they've never seen or heard of quite as much as they would go and be like, oh, what is that? I don't even know what style that is, and pick up a bomber of it back in the day.
That's true.
So it's like the consumer is more informed, at least insofar as what they like, because they've probably had enough chances to experience craft beer, good, bad, or otherwise. And so consumer behavior in general, while they do seek out novel experiences for sure, like I have a friend who worked at this, I don't know if I should name it, but a high-end convenience store, and they really more talked about like the illusion of new and the illusion of novelty and the illusion of choice is what people want more than they want to actually try something that's actually new to them.
And so, like, how does that play out?
Just that like people know what styles of beer they decide what styles of beer they like at a certain point, and they don't have enough room in their brain to try other new things for a lot of people. Like, right, like this is a niche of a niche that we're of the place we're sitting in right now, and so we have people that are like out here exploring, but most people are don't really explore that much. They want a new branded thing. They don't really want a new like sensory experience as much as I think millennials were chasing in like 2012 or 14 or whatever. And like the fact that it was new and the fact that it was made by the place on the street was more important than the fact that it wasn't the best executed version of that product. I don't know. Maybe
I don't
that's
know.
off.
It's hard to say because I'm trying to think. I guess maybe I'm also not the target audience. If I go into a wine bar or a whiskey bar or wherever, and there's a whole bunch of different, let's say a whiskey bar, just because, let's say a Scotch bar, because I want it to be something where it's like these are all established things. I'm not just getting one type of Scotch. I'm getting a whole bunch of different ones. I want different experiences. But maybe are you saying maybe like people aren't like that anymore?
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Now that I'm thinking about it in the way that I interact, the way that I make a choice about something like that, if I'm going out to have an on-premise consumption, I go somewhere that I trust, and then I just want them to give me stuff. And like, I don't care what it is. I'm just like, all right, I want to try a bunch of things, but I don't want to go through the list anymore and be like, oh, I like Chablis and Chenin Blanc. I was like, I like these things. You bring me things. And like, sometimes that's just like a bartender or server's worst nightmare. But I'm like, listen, I'm going to like everything you're going to bring me. Like, that's why we're here.
All these things are so tied in together so well. Like it's the idea that you were making that like you can't wait. Sorry, what's your name?
Grant.
Yeah, Grant. I'm sorry, Grant. Hey, I'm Pete. Yeah. All right, so
Pete Ternes.
Yeah, Ternes. Sure. But Grant's point and your point, it's like, and a point Keith made at the break too, which I'll quickly say, but then you can expand on, I'm sure, if you want, depending on if Chris and Mike allow you to. But the idea though, it's like this light and dark thing that Chris and I talk about a lot. Like, people just kind of want to go to a effing bar and have two options. Do you have a light beer? Cool. Or do you have a dark beer? Yeah, that's actually what I want instead. Mm-hmm. And like, they're tired of the choices are, were paralyzing. They were to be rich with choices was like exciting and it was an adventure for a while. And now it's paralyzing, and it gets to your point about no one has time, and your point that you made, Keith, about no one has hobbies. We have so many hobbies, and it's the same. We have no hobbies because we have so many. We have no time anymore because we have so much shit we jam our lives full of so much shit. And then at the same time, Grant's point about there's really good beer everywhere. You don't need to be as sort of, you don't need to chase a story. You don't need to be as like, you can trust basically what you're saying. You can trust that when you go to a bar and a decent bar that you kind of trust, you're gonna get a pretty good beer. There's not a lot of bad beer being pushed for the story anymore. So all these things just make it easy for this next generation, and even for the millennials who are just kind of exhausted by their former lives, to just chill out on like the craft beer chase and looking for the next, like, someone else's neighborhood beer to drink. They just can drink their neighborhood beer and their Modelo.
Mike, we talk about Meeting House. Yeah. Isn't that exactly what Meeting House
totally
does?
Yeah.
Where like every single thing they have on offer is, but they can fit, including literally every spirit and mixer or whatever that they can make something with, except I don't know if they have like tonic listed, is like on like their little pegboard or on a little their one page menu. Not even, it's like like one panel of a 8.5 by 11 piece, and it's like, this is everything we have. We have 4 beers. We make 5 cocktails. We also have Orval and Guinness, and we have
Topo Chico.
Right, and we have this gin, we have this vodka, we have this rum, and we have these 5 mixers. Have at it, right. And that's it. And it's in a nice, cute environment. Like, the place is cool, like definitely grammable. If you take a picture of yourself in it, you look cute. The background's nice, and like, it's not like a shithole. It's nice. But yeah, like, we've picked these things. These things are nice. You're here to have a good time, right? There's enough here to have a good time with.
Right. Totally. Yeah. I like places like that. And I was thinking, like, as you were talking, Pete, and like talking about the Gen Z, like me saying, like, ever since they've had the ability to make choices, they've had every choice available to them, right? Of the thing to watch. They've watched exactly what they wanted to watch. They've listened to exactly the music they wanted to listen to since they were conscious. And I wonder if like that's like part of them just being like, I just want to drink Modelo and wear this dirty NASCAR hat is like rebelling against like and not even consciously necessarily, but rebelling against like decision fatigue starting from like, well, do I want to watch this Coco Melon video or this Coco Melon video on the iPad, you know?
Yeah.
And I wonder I don't know what to do with that. You know, like how do we, I don't know. What do we do?
Yeah. So what's next?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think that gets to Grant's point too, which is make good beer for the people in your market and your community,
right?
And make it affordable, and stand behind it. The story should be good still, and it could be good. It could be a part of who you are, but ultimately, it's about a mature market. Make good stuff. Make your distribution.
Right.
You know,
have good distribution relationships in your local market.
Work with your local retailers. Talk to your neighbors. Support events and community, engage with your community, and not everyone will rise to the top, and everyone will survive, but some will, and you know, right?
Because there is one thing that, like, you know, 15,000 barrels, 95% distribution, 10% growth, multiple years goes against a lot of what we're saying.
Well, no, I actually think it fits.
Okay,
and I think it's because what Grant's doing. Grant says he's selling a $9. I should let you speak for yourself here, but I think a $9. But a $9 hazy, a $9 hazy 6-pack. You said, I mean, you're helping the people who are trying not to who don't want to make a choice by putting the 9 in front of that in front of that 6-pack, right?
Right. Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, right. It's just different. What do we consider our neighborhood? I think, and how do we approach that?
Yeah.
Totally.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to skin it, but yeah, I think we can all screw it up too easily by just having bad beer out there, or thinking that it's okay to chase that, or just focusing on neighborhood. I think, and I'm sure you probably see this, Keith, like you got to have a good business plan. You can't just make good beer. You can't have gold medal at the county fair anymore to start a brewery. You have to have the advertising behind it. You have to have the business acumen. You have to do all of it to have it function well. I think that's what we see a lot. It's scary what people think they can get away with. It's not working anymore.
Chris, you had mentioned sort of, oh gosh, look at how many breweries we have. Look at how much beer we're producing these days, and we're kind of still supporting it all. That isn't necessarily true. Walking up here, taking the bus most of the way, listen to Lester Jones, who's the chief economist for the National Beer Wholesalers Association. And he was talking about how during COVID, everybody was selling an awful lot of small pack beer bottles and cans, and the inventory was being held at the homes of the people purchasing it, because they would only go to grocery stores once every week or two. They would buy a shitload full of beer. Distributors and retailers and breweries thought this is great because they're moving through their inventory in a very unexpected way. And now the entire distribution chain is completely full of product. Breweries have warehouses full of beer. They can't ship them to the distributors because the distributors are sitting on warehouses full of beer. The distributor can't ship it to the retailer because the retailer is sitting on beer. Before Super Bowl, a week before Super Bowl, I walk into Mariano's, and every wine, every distillate, or at least 90%, has sale tags on it. And I thought, holy shit, is this for Super Bowl? And I get a hold of Doug Lemcke, who has his own consulting company about all this stuff. And he says, yeah, it could just be that they have marked it up with like what they think the regular retail price is, and they're discounting it. And it's now, that was February. They still have everything with like clearance pricing on it, and it's just not moving. The forecasts for summer for beer sales are just horrific, especially for craft beer. National Beer Wholesaler now does a month-by-month forecast as to sales, and craft beer is crashing because they can look at pre-sales for 1 up to 6 months, depending on the product class. And every class is pretty much stalled with the exception of cider, which is growing slightly, and ready-to-drinks, spirits. So it's just inventory is sitting there and it's not really moving. the idea of how do we get people engaged in drinking alcohol again, or finding the culture of being in public, sharing the experience of drinking responsibly and enjoying that experience. That is our challenge now.
Yeah, I talked to my dad a bunch about like pipe fill versus pull through, right? And in my head, up until like basically right now, pull through is off of the retailer's shelf, being like, well, it's pulled through and someone's going to drink that. But the reality, and we've all seen people's cellars, is that pull through is like the end point of the pull through is the toilet, where like you're like that's the actual end of the pipe fill is to pee it out in the toilet. So if people aren't drinking it, or if like making a beer that people like to cellar, where it's like, well, how much? When do you stop? Like, when do you when does this, like the whole barrel aged stout thing of like those are pretty dead in the water because people bought so many, they're just sitting in their closet and they're like, well, I have hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a bygone era. I feel
there's people that just like stock the fridge and then they're not drinking as much, so they're not buying as much anymore. So
of certain types, but not of cream ales. And not of $9 hazies. Those are meant to be
drinkability is back, baby.
Right.
Yeah, but also Three Sheeps is growing. There's a certain inflection point, right? The more it grows, the more you grow in your distribution, the less of a decision, the less you're participating in decision fatigue, because you're constantly in their subconscious. More and more and more and more and more. And this is like what not that you're the big giant player in Wisconsin, but like it's true. Like someone like seeing a half acre beer on the shelf. That's not like I wonder if I'll like this, and I wonder what the style is, and let me turn this can around 3 times to find the words so I can learn. And I think that's probably true with as you move into the market more and more every year, you become less and less exhausting for people to figure out. Like you probably were in the early stage, and like we were in the early stage, and we kind of still are, frankly, as middlebrow.
Oh yeah, big time. And the idea of having to go into even just a grocery store or liquor store and say, can I have a sample of that before I bring it in? Like those days are kind of over.
Yeah,
you kind of trust. Yeah, thankfully they have faith that we're both going to do it well.
Yeah.
Your artwork at Three Sheeps probably looks really good. I haven't really seen it. I haven't really been in your turf to see your packaging. But if you have more than 3 brands side by side, you would not believe how that motivates people's interest to buy your product. Stuff at eye level and matching packages side by side, the more you have them, the more a customer believes, wow, look at this beautiful artwork, 3 varieties plus maybe a 4th, maybe a 5th. And they go, this must be a high value added, very popular beer. You automatically get that punch from the customer that they put a little bit of faith in thinking that your products are good.
Yeah, but for the unknown, until you break through and then they recognize the brand, and then it's brand first, brewery second.
Yep.
What you're talking about, Keith, is brewery first.
Yes.
Kind of brand second.
Yep.
But Daisy Cutter, I would say, is kind of a brand first. People know Daisy Cutter.
There's people that drink Daisy Cutter that don't even know what that half acre
is. Yeah. Right, exactly. Or Allagash White. I mean, everyone calls it Allagash White,
but they might not know that Allagash is the brewery.
Right.
It's just Allagash.
Right. It's just called Allagash White. That's the beer.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And also, as you were saying just a little bit ago, Keith, about giving people opportunities to kind of come together and be in a place, I think is something, that maybe has been missed because they were at home so much. I'm also very interested. People seem to really be excited about the process of being in a cool place that cool people are in, that people are having fun. I want to go to where, and that's never been, that's always been like that. But I feel like a lot of social media is kind of
grammable moments, baby.
Right. Some people call it FOMO, but I don't like that. It's like I want to be. Those people look cool and are having fun. I want to be cool and I want to have fun. And those are
that's
good
forever.
things.
That's been going on, like literally, like Parisian restaurants with big glass windows. Like that's thought of as like one of the first form of advertising. Because because you could see inside, you could see people enjoying their food and be like, I want to be part of that.
But
And
it's
then
more
everything
than
has
that
evolved
too.
from that.
It's like you want to be there, but I'd say the next step is like interacting with the people there. I would hope is kind of the next.
I would guess so,
step.
but who knows? Like,
It kind of gets to this line. There's a line culture in Chicago, and that's newer in Chicago. I lived in New York and in San Francisco while we were getting the brewery started, and line culture in those cities at that time was big. But in Chicago, I came back to Chicago, and like Bang Bang Pie was the only place with a line. But now it's like every neighborhood has two of these places.
Yeah.
Has two joints where people are lining up for shit in the mornings. And you'd line up getting Paris Club back then. I'm sure Mike was always in line. But
that's right.
Yeah.
So people would line up for bars where they thought they'd hook up that night. But pastries in the morning are like a burger pop up or whatever the hell. That's people are lining up for that shit now. And I had this. There's a writer, Maggie Hennessy, who's done some beer writing in the past.
Great writer.
Yeah, really great writer. And she's semi-regular, and we've kind of kept in touch. And we were talking about lines because we got a line for our bagel pop up for a little while, and how it felt like it was almost like replaced like the season finale of Seinfeld or something. Where like you got to you would watch Seinfeld, that you would watch the season finale of some show like that at home, but you were participating in a massive cultural moment, and you'd go to work that day, and you'd even be driving to work, and you could look at someone next to you on 94 in gridlock and know that they probably saw that episode, and you could like roll down your window and make a little reference, like a joke reference to it, and they'd probably get it. I mean, not
right.
In the middle of
you're
nowhere.
probably one and two people, right?
Right.
And like that went away. Of course, it's gone.
Right. But sports is like more popular than it's like ever been on like television and stuff like that. Like it's like crushing the ratings.
That may be why it's
Right.
the last thing left. And,
Yeah.
but I think lines in a weird way fit that model where like you can get in the line, not talk to a single person, sadly. But then you feel like you just participated in this big cultural moment. When you go pull up your new TV, which is your Instagram account, your Reels or your TikTok, and you see someone else in line posting something, you're like, you can connect with them. Yeah, like you like in a way you're connecting with this person socially, and it's a way to be like actually to get some social connection. So maybe that's way off base, but there's got to be something in this where we're looking at people in places and we're thinking the next step is interaction. But the truth is, they merely want to be in that place and they don't know how to talk to each other anymore. So they're just on their phone. They're not talking to the person next to them, but they now feel like they did this thing together.
So here's something I've been fascinated about. There's one person who works mostly in the bottle shop. Every once in a while, does a bar shift, and he has this knack. He doesn't intend to do it. It's just like what he does. He'll put something on television, and this last Sunday had competitive dog long jumping, where they would have a bone suspended over water, and they have to see how far these dogs can jump and get the bone.
Yeah.
And then they'd move it out, and they had like different classes and stuff like that. When I say competitive, it was like the most wholesome thing. And the bar was all engaged with one another.
Yeah.
They were all talking to each other, which never happens anymore.
Cool.
And he's done it multiple times. He had another one where it was the German beer stein competition where you have to hold the stein out.
Yeah.
He just had that on. And people who did not know one another were like, definitely the guy in the fedora is getting it. No way. It's the guy in the blue shirt. And then they would go out, and like the bar came alive.
Yeah.
And I was like, this never happens except if you're at a, Packers bar on game day and they're all Packers fans.
Sure.
Then it happens.
I think that there's something to that where there's something unique happening on TV in the bar can help that interaction. Like we have,
everyone was off their phons because what was on the TV
that's right.
was cooler.
But here's the thing. Like when we opened this, we had a list of movies we put on silent on the TV to be very pretentious. No, but also like there's something to like
mission accomplished.
Putting sports, putting like a football game on TV is very passive, and people just stare at the TV and watch.
And they may sit there
Sports
longer.
Center.
They may get a second beer.
Right.
It may be effective.
But if you have nothing and you like, we don't have food, and like if you don't have anything else, then people are just on their phone, like you were saying, their new TV. So if you give them something in between, you give them something with no sound that is a visually interesting thing, they'll look up and they'll look at it, and then they'll have to be like, what is this? And so then they'll start talking to the people next to them at the bar, or they'll start talking to our bartenders, and then they'll be more engaged in what's going on here generally because they looked up. And then Steve Hamburg will be here and talk about how, oh, that's the only movie that Dr. Seuss ever directed. And then he knows every line from the movie. And now everyone's talking to Steve Hamburg about the Thousand Hands of Dr. Megorius, or whatever that movie is called. So there's something to that.
So what's this saying? It's like when my toddler got obsessed with her iPad, I was like, fuck this. After 15 years, I'm buying a TV.
Yeah.
Is this answer to saving craft beer, putting TVs in every brewery and bar?
Right? I don't know.
I mean,
well, it's what are you putting on the TV?
Yeah, no,
right?
of course. But
Fox News.
But the point,
Yeah.
The point there being like something has to do what Keith is asking, right? In order for beer to get back on that path of like cultural prominence. And I don't care if it's TV. That would be great. Fine. I would give up my fucking precious identity or a part of it for some kind of TV, right? Like you were saying.
TV certainly does have a knack for getting excitement up in the room. Guinness, Open Gate usually has their beer menus on their flat screen TVs around the place. About 3 or 4 months ago, somebody had the idea of putting a sporting event on because there were a lot of Notre Dame fans left over who didn't go down to the Notre Dame game, and holy shit, the place was lively like you can't believe. When they left, they turned the TVs back onto the menus, dead silence. Yeah. Now, I hate to bring up artificial intelligence, but I could imagine what will happen, and I've suggested this to people who play music in their location. What if the friendly folks of Spotify actually knew how many people were in your bar or restaurant, and they used Spotify, and they know exactly everyone in that room? They know the music you like, and they use an algorithm to bias now the music that's going to be played in that room, so it reaches kind of a common denominator of everybody that's in that room right now. What if they could also do that with sporting events? What if they could just say, let's look at the demography of this neighborhood and say we're more predisposed to listening to classic rock than we are to hip hop? Then you can gradually sort of let AI run that for you.
Sure. I mean,
I guess.
That sounds like a dystopia.
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
that's great.
But you're never going to get dog jumping.
That
though.
sounds
You're
like
never
a
going to get
dystopia.
competitive dog jumping.
That's
my new favorite sport, by
that's
the way.
Thing. There is a distinction between these two things, and it's music. It's almost like you have to. There's a bit of it where, like, reading is tiring and hard compared to watching something, because you need to translate the words into thoughts in your head and visualize them and then understand the thing you're reading, or understand the meanings of the words, and you make all these connections. So it's fucking hard. Watching a play in 1500 at the Globe, year 1500 at the Globe Theater, is the same as watching dog championship now. I mean, this is millennial. This is like thousands of years of, sorry to use the term millennial, it's confusing in this context, but like it's thousands of years. TV is really actually weirdly unique, and I'm not like I'm very anti-TV in a lot of ways because I'm a twee millennial, but I think there is something to this where, like, we can all talk and get riled up about a soap opera even in the middle of the fucking day at Beer Temple. And like people watching that quietly are watching it together and will have a reaction together, an emotional feeling, and can connect on it. But their phones, if they were both watching the same thing on their phone, they wouldn't even express their emotion and ever have that connection. So TVs are the answer. That's it. TVs are.
Well, they do allow
craft
for
beer
some more
safe.
communal thing, like especially in like a setting versus like, I mean, if everyone's going to go and read a book and get smart, that's one thing. But like, and TV rotting your brain is not necessarily true.
Totally.
When there's also like literal brain rot, skibbity toilet happening on your phone.
Yeah.
So,
well, but games are the same thing. It's these things that bring you like, if games are like TV in real life. If you're watching people play pool because you're next, you're like stoked on what's happening, and you're really rooting for one team versus the other. You fucking hate this guy who's got a terrible attitude, and you're like really, there's a play happening before you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Collective effervescence is what we're looking for with the television.
Yeah. Right.
The numinous presenting itself in the mundane.
Getting people off their phones and talk and engaging in one another, or at least acknowledging that there are a group of people there.
Just like making it not weird to like talk to someone else, right? Because like that's like right now it feels like to just say something to you like out of nowhere, like well Keith, not you, but just like turn to the person next to you and like just to say, hey, how's it going? Is weird now in our culture.
So weird.
But to be like, what is that dog doing? Is like you can say that because like what is that dog doing? And then you're like, oh, that dog. How that corgi isn't going to get the bone.
And the idea is like I don't want to have TVs on because everyone's just going to be staring at the TV. So we don't have TVs at our bar. But that just means everyone's on their own individual TV now.
Exactly. So you have to accept that everyone has their own TV.
But you have something that unites everybody. And that is they're all there because they're there for a beer experience.
Yeah.
Right.
And the only places I go to really are places that make their own beer because I can be the old guy that will look at you and go, what do you think of the Kolsch? And they'll go, oh, this is really good. You could spot it. I'll say, yeah, I can spot it by the color. You should also try this. By the way, they make a beer coming up that, oh, yeah, we already have that on tap. Now suddenly you're talking to that person and the person next to them and the person just around the corner here chimes in the conversation.
Right.
That's just this.
But you're a seasoned human being, Keith. I'm telling you, there are other people who are not like that.
Professional talker to other people.
I'm old. I just break into conversation with strangers. And with my brother beside me, we're both engaging everybody in conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and two people like that can convert an entire bar.
Change the entire bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a bartender.
Which bartenders,
yeah. Right.
Yeah,
But bartenders, real art of bartending is spotting the Keith and in creating a platform for the Keith, because then when the bartender turns their back and starts working, the bar is just going.
Right.
Yes.
And that's a better way to think about the TV problem, which is bartenders training and hiring the right people to run your bars is just as likely to kind of make local beer culture an exciting thing, or kind of keep it hanging on by the thread as it figures out its next phase.
Right. We bent so hard towards being like, here's all the technical things about the beer you have to know to tell these people.
Yeah, no way.
That and almost too far away from the like Cheers style bartender.
Totally.
But there's a balance now happening where you can find people that are really, really good at both. And you can't devalue the knowledge of it. You have to have the knowledge of it, but to overvalue, here's all the technical information about this beer versus someone who can create a good environment or a good vibe in your tap room.
I think the customer out there who's desperately looking for a bartender who can understand how cool they are because they've heard of obscure hop, or they can ask what temperature the mash was in, what temperature you mashed in at. Like there's still those customers who want to show you that they know that.
Right.
Which I'm sorry to say that in this audience,
a little tedious, though. No?
But I mean, there are people listening who surely still do that. I'm sorry to say that, but that's not fun, and it's not. It doesn't encourage this thing that we're talking about. It's like it makes that's exclusionary, and it isolates people and makes people feel dumb. And bartenders could be great bartenders and know a lot about. Bartenders can be great bartenders as humans, thanks, and know a lot about the beer, but not the temperature or the mash, and then they feel silly and everyone just shuts up.
I have another. This will be the final thing before we get out of here, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I have another idea what could work. If you take a bed and fill it with beer, and then have taps attached to the headrest, maybe that is something that will bring beer back. I mean, we could find out.
Really tired
if only someone would do that. Do you know anyone who could do that, Mike?
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Oh, you don't read your own outline? Oh, okay.
No, I don't.
Garage beer.
Oh,
that is.
I don't read the garage beer articles. It's just a way for you to. It's just a way for you to sneak like Eagles stuff onto the podcast.
Who is this Kelsey person? I mean, I'm only kind of joking.
He was on the show Frasier, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's it's
Nelly
Taylor
song.
Swift's boyfriend.
Yeah, that's
Kelsey
right.
Graham.
That's how I know.
Yeah. And then he's got a really cool brother.
Yeah, my
who
fourth.
played for an awesome team.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
We won't get into
brother
that.
is not the... Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm lost. But.
No. So there's two of we're not so Garage Beer. They're giving away a beer bed that I think is a water bed that you fill with beer, and then
the
has
most disgusting thing
working taps at the head, or maybe there's a kegerator in there as well.
I'm gonna actually.
They don't get really into the beer in the mattress thing. They say it's a Casper brand mattress and a kegerator connected to the tap ready headboard. And of course, I'm already wondering what coolant system they're using,
course you
whether
are.
they've got fobs.
There is a picture of someone pouring a beer into the mattress, though.
There certainly
There you go.
is.
Yes.
So you can fill it with beer. It could be a double beer bed.
You definitely should not, but you could.
You could.
That's how Grant got his 10% last year, selling
Beer
3
bed.
sheeps to
I'm 3
I will
sheeps
say
to
I
the
had a
wind.
functional Billy Bass tapper on my wall for a while. That every time you poured a beer, the head started just dancing and flipping around like little Billy Bass. It was fun. We went
That's
through a
cool.
weird phase. Yeah.
I will.
It's just a great stunt. I mean, what read the comments on that thing that you sent over, Chris?
I didn't read the
People thought
comments.
it was real, and I went down the rabbit hole and just fully embraced it because why not? A beer bed.
A beer bed.
About it.
There are also stunts. There are also growth is exponential. So you get a couple Taylor Swift associated people. I assume that they're in it mostly for the other brother who is a Sherlock as a Hall of Fame a center for the Philadelphia Eagles. I would assume that was the main
This is why I
draw.
don't read the stuff when you put garage projects. You start talking about game footage of the Eagles center.
I mean, you've ever seen some of those polls that he does? Anyway, no. I mean, he's been retired.
We've covered the tush push too many times on this show. All right,
But this beer bed thing is beyond ludicrous.
mm-hmm. To the horseshoe point where it's cool again.
I don't know about that. I do know that you can win it, and I think we should try to win it.
How do we win this?
Wait, there's only one.
I don't know how many there are.
It's called to how to win the beer bed.
The or Does it say the? I think we should try to win it.
Tuesday, July 1st through Tuesday, July 15th. To enter, you must be 21, live in the continental U.S. or D.C.
Check.
Leave a comment on Garage Beer's official beer bed Instagram post or retweet the X, formerly Twitter post. We won't be doing that.
We can leave a comment.
Okay, anyone out there, if you go to the Garage Beer Instagram, find the beer bed post, and
if you
comment
win
on it,
Mike and I will do a Yoko Ono, John Lennon style episode from the beer bed.
episode from the beer bed.
Guaranteed, promise.
Anywhere in the continental United States.
Have it shipped to us.
You're not going to
DC.
Hawaii.
No, they'll have it shipped to us. To you. It's not going here.
We'll put it next to the skee ball machines over here.
Exactly.
And then you can come and lay in the beer bed too.
We'll
if you
do
win
it.
it.
You could fill it with some really unstable
You'll be the special
saison.
guest.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll naturally carbonate.
Do you like it soft or
in the
firm?
beer bed. Yeah,
I like it a little more firm. Come back in a day.
3.0 volumes. we'll get you firm as. I'm not going to say we'll get you firm on the podcast, but anyway, beer bed.
One of the more insane.
No free ads except for that one.
Yeah, I mean that's. I mean, hey, if you do that.
I guess it's all free ads on there.
I mean, jeez Louise. The beer bed. The beer bed.
Do you think they'll get mad at us if we fill it with Headhunter?
How could you?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's an Ohio beer.
That's right.
They're from Ohio.
Yeah, they're Ohio boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, these are both football players? There's two.
Do you really not know who either of the Kelseys are?
I know there's a Kelsey Taylor Swift guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And his
he
brother
has
is
a brother
also
who plays,
Who
also
is
plays
retired.
football.
Retired.
Oh,
And Chris says he's going to be a Hall of Fame center.
got it. Yeah.
I mean,
They played each other in the Super Bowl a couple of times. It was so cool. Taylor Swift was
Oh,
there.
they did. Oh, damn.
Yeah,
I know
was there.
I knew about that.
Yeah.
I saw.
You know who
it.
Taylor Swift is,
I
right?
do.
But
Yeah,
they
my-
had to
okay.
mark down
my
all the
4-year-old
they had to mark down all the alcohol
told me.
for people to watch that Super Bowl.
Oh, that was the
What?
one that she went to.
They had to
with-
mark down all the alcohol at Mariano's, like Keith was talking about. earlier.
right.
It's called a callback, dude. Do you know anything about improv?
Yeah, no. Yes.
Do you stock the garage beer?
No, we don't.
Do you know who distributes it?
Oh, they're on
Got
the
it.
side of the truck.
Got to be CBS. Oh yeah, it's not CBS. I
No.
took a picture of it because
Wait,
we got something. Maybe it is CBS because we got something from them, and I
It's
saw it.
CES or Lakeshore.
You could always ask, how much would I need to purchase to secure one of these beds?
Right.
And
a great
then
point.
you secure one and say the only way you can drink it is to lie in it with the beer in your hand and have a photograph taken with it. You have
Right.
to buy the beer, then you can lie in the bed and take the photo. This, sir, is just something that is a marketer's wet dream.
Guest beers are now allowed.
Yeah,
I think
oh,
we
yeah,
should do it here.
We are ever since this came out, we are a garage beer.
We're
only.
in a garage right now.
We have 19 draft handlers will be and 19 garage beers because I'm trying to get this bed,
Baby.
baby.
Yeah, man.
See?
And then, but apparently the only way to win it is to post on their Instagram or X profile.
Well, I'll do that. Why
Blue
not?
Sky left out. A little weird. I'm making choices there, and that's a political choice.
It's okay. I'll leave an Instagram thing. So should people who are listening.
Yep.
And if you win, send it to what's the address here?
5121 North Ravenswood Avenue.
3173 North Elston.
So, yes.
I can't even find the official beer bed post. They don't even have it pinned.
Garage beer doing very well. They're up like 200% year over year.
Because they're giving away beds.
They started at 1.
Yeah, right.
Years
Yes,
old.
percent's a lie. Percent is a
Yes.
lie.
Yes. We'll see what they are next year. But hey, very interesting. I've had the beer. Beer's not very good. Well, have you had the beer, Keith?
No.
It's.
No.
I had one just because I saw it. Like, oh, that's the garage beer. Let me have it. And the bartender, not really a craft bar, was like, "Do you want to try it first?" First time they had said that for everything, I was like, "Sure."
He's like, we're just supporting local.
Exactly.
right.
Call back.
This is a light lager, right? Technically, garage beer is like a light lager,
Yeah.
low alcohol. Yes.
Yeah. But that is really trying to make a Modelo, but just cashing in on a lifestyle. It's like a lifestyle brand is what they're trying to do with it, right?
Yeah.
And then having celebrity endorsements.
It's Montucky,
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% Montucky.
but
Midwest Montucky.
But that worked, honestly. Montucky is shockingly everywhere.
Cold snacks,
You
baby.
know, eight
Just
years later.
The idea of cold snacks, I think, has made them many millions of dollars.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
and they sold out.
Who doesn't want a
Great.
cold snack?
Yeah,
you know?
great phrase.
Yeah.
But the branding was perfect at the
Right.
time.
And they sold
fit
it
the
Gallo.
time.
Gallo
Oh, did
bought
they?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised Portnoy's not going after is honestly because the same company that bought High Noon bought Montucky, right?
Does he own part of High Noon?
No, but they're the
They just
big.
promoted it,
Yeah,
yeah.
but now he's on to lemonade. Now he's doing lemonade stuff. So
Good.
yeah, just saying.
Let him rip.
Yeah, we can't say anything bad about Portnoy. He's a pizza
He
reviewer.
might review your pizza.
He might review our pizza.
I've never-
He listens to the show, by the way.
I'm sure he does.
I've never seen his review of Bar.
Have you?
Never. I don't watch that.
I hear it was good.
Yeah, so do I.
That's what the people in line say.
Yeah.
He's going to do bagel reviews next.
Call back. Shit.
Yeah.
He's going to shit on our bagels. People
All overcooked.
pretty passionate about our burnt bagels. You know?
Yeah, they should be.
I think we should have final remarks before we get out of here. Mike, is there anything you would like to say in closing?
Thank you all for coming on. This has been great. Appreciate you.
It's been a great conversation. Oddly enough, the last time that either Keith or Pete were on, they were on together, which
Incredible.
was not intentional. But we try to put people together that we think would work well. So I guess we have consistent thoughts.
The creators of
About
Plan.
it.
Shout out Cool Breeze.
Right. Exactly.
Nothing. Just support your neighborhood brewery.
Grant, how about you? Anything you would like to say? Thanks for coming on. It's been great seeing you. Are you?
One of these days it'll be in person for more than across a beer aisle. But,
Right. That's right.
Thanks for doing this. I mean, keeping people talking about craft beer. We're still here. We're not going anywhere.
Are you going to be at Great Taste this year?
I will be. Yes.
I think I'm coming up this year. I've had a couple year hiatus, and I think I'll be there. So
You gonna come up Friday night too?
that's
Come
asking a lot. That's asking a lot.
All right.
All right. Are you going to be out?
Saturday.
You're going to be out there on Friday night? I mean, that's the
yeah.
night, right?
Yeah, the pre-party night's great. Yeah.
That way, you can always see who had the best time, which breweries had the best time the night before, because they are
Struggling.
very much struggling.
Yeah.
I was once at a brewery where I helped out. I won't name names. Where one of the main people who was pouring was still not hungover, not still a little buzzed, still annihilated drunk the next day.
That's got to be someone who woke up and then kept going.
Maybe when they got to this place, yeah.
Yeah.
So much so that I was supposed to do a shift pouring beer because they gave me some free tickets. And my shift became keep him away. Because
Listen, people don't have to know what I was doing at Great Taste the 2 times I went. You know, they don't have to
Right.
know, Chris.
They don't- well.
leave me out of this.
sorry.
I'm a little guy. You know, I shouldn't be drinking that much.
I know. But anyway, you shouldn't have been serving to other people because you were being very offensive.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That was
People will
definitely-
forget. Anyway, Grant,
People don't forget.
I hope to see you then. Maybe Friday night. Honestly, I was pretty much 100% no for Friday night. Now I'm definitely like a 33%.
12%.
Yes.
I'll take it.
Send him
that's
one
that's
text between
big-
now and then, and come
you're,
on.
You're up to like 75% then.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
like a 900,000% growth. You're like garage beer cats.
I am. Man, these callbacks, it's great.
Improv, baby.
Yeah, it's
Use it.
great. I know. It's awesome. Pete, anything you'd like to say?
Thanks so much for having me again. It's been fun to talk, and I think just to echo Keith, no shame in the Modelo's, but when you got a chance, come up to Was or Middlebrow sometimes. But
Sure.
order a beer and not a pizza. I would love it if someone just came and had a fucking beer and went home. That's just when people walk in, they're like, "I'm just here for drinks." I'm like, "Holy fucking shit!
Yes.
Let me shake your hand."
Yeah.
I did that last time I was there.
God, yeah. Well, because
For the record.
I enticed you.
You said, come and have this beer. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
So I did.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Thanks to our guests, Grant, Keith, and Pete. We'll be back next week with another episode. And until... that shouldn't have happened. So long. That also shouldn't have
Nope,
happened.
wrong one. Nope.
No.
No, no.
What did I do?
Now you're playing both songs. No, other songs. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Turn the red one off. Yeah.
There we go. That shouldn't have happened.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, sing from again. Remember, this is what we